Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Aries EDC. We are checking out another Kizer that I got from the pass around group. This one, it's a thin little pokey guy. Now, all right, we are talking about this. This is the Kizer Shot. And let me move this out of the way. Really cool little knife. Kizer does a good job with their little knives. I do have a mini bag glider or bag glider mini and the Kizer Feist, and they just do a really good job with small little, maybe you would consider gentleman's carry, office carry, small knives. So when you're in that where you don't really need something big and heavy, but you need just a small little cutting tool in your pocket that doesn't take up a lot of room, this might be your option. I don't know. That's completely up to you. So what do we have? We have an aluminum scales that this one has this nice brushed copper kind of color to it, but it's just aluminum. And you could tell it's a painted coating. You got the carry clip, the bent clip. I was going to say deep carry, but it's not completely deep carry. You have the recessed screws, but not the recessed clip. And that's probably to save onto the size of the scales because you are getting a nice thin overall profile on that. So the clip is not recessed. The scales are rounded, so you have that nice rounding of the scales. So it is contoured. And it is a front flipper and thumb studs. So gotta love that you get multiple options. I really like a knife that has multiple opening deployments, especially something other than a front flipper, because front flippers aren't always my favorite, but they do it very well. Kizer does, that is for sure. But yep, deployment of all the thumb studs is done very well. Detent is tuned nicely. And overall, in the hand, you can see it's not bad. I have a large hand and it fills it, and I can get all four fingers on that handle fairly well for just such a small little package. And it's pretty stinking cool. And you can tell some people have been cutting with this. I have not done any major cutting with it, but you can see some people before me have been having some fun with this knife, which is perfectly fine with that nice DLC coated blade of 154 cm. So you can see right there, 154 cm. And again, really, really good. You have the steel liners, which they have removed some weight, and they've done some milling out on that to remove the weight. Access to the lock bar is good. They have all of these cutouts here. Maybe I'll show you. You have that cutout there so you can access the lock bar, and it's nice and smooth. It's a pretty straightforward design, pretty straightforward knife. Nothing too crazy, but let's talk a little bit about size. So this will be interesting. So the size on this overall is 6.95 inches, so just under 7 inches overall. And let's see, blade length, they have it listed at 2.88, which, yep, right about the, yeah, just under, let me make sure I have it lined up. But yeah, it's just about right at the beginning of the scales right there. But the sharpened edge goes to about 2 3/4. Let's look at some size comparisons. This will be a little bit more interesting. So we have that versus the Rat 2. So we're almost the exact length of the Rat 2. The Rat 2 might be a little bit longer in the handle, so that's interesting. Even though this knife seems fairly small, it's pretty good as far as size. It's almost the exact size of the Elementum as well overall. So very nice, really good size knife if you're looking for something small to carry. Like I said, this might be a perfect gentleman's carry or a nice dinner or office carry, depending what your needs are. There it is versus the Para 2. So obviously the Para 2 is going to have a much different profile and a much different length. It is a little bit longer But this thing stretches out a little bit longer than you think because the handle is nice. It has a good size handle to it and a tiny little blade, and it's done very, very well. The designer is Bulachev, I think. I'm not sure, don't know much about that person, but I don't get caught up with designers as much. So maybe you follow designers. I don't really. They call this a drop point blade. Okay, yeah. I mean, I can go with that if you want. I also don't get mixed up into, you can call it whatever you want, but it's a nice pokey little blade that will open any boxes and maybe whatever you actually need. So the Kizer Shot, wow, really cool. I really, with the pass around group, it was this and the Hawk were coming together, and I really wanted to experience that Hawk, but I was really surprised that, you know, this thing is kind of cool. It's kind of cool, and definitely if you need something that falls into these lines, maybe this is the one for you. So yeah, very, very interesting. So those are my thoughts and feelings on this one, guys. Please remember, subscribe, like, leave a comment, or not. Again, the choice is always yours.